Hello, this is Insane Monster, and we are here for part 13 of What If Deku Had Anti-Venom. Now then, before we start, look in the description down below and you'll find some things that you may enjoy. Also, please, I do hope you are enjoying the videos, and that you are staying safe and all that out there with the craziness that is the world right now. So yeah, with all that said, hit it. Now then, when we last left off, Izuku and Bakugo ended up getting suspended from class for 3 days. During this time, Izuku and Toga weren't feeling that well. They were feeling a bit off. After the first day, it was uncomfortable. However, when it came to the second day, while they were still in their rooms, something happened. They felt something odd. Recognizing what this was, they looked over near the door. As due to the fact that spawning is somewhat irregular, not knowing when it will happen, each room that holds symbiotes wielders in them have a number of canisters that are put on the wall and able to be used to hold them, specially made to have certain nutrient release devices. Upon grabbing them, both Izuku and Toga release 2 symbiotes, with a total of 4 now within these containers. With that, they head over to Aizawa immediately, showing that they now have more symbiotes. With seeing this, he just sighs, remarking seriously, alright, I'll make some calls. Calling in Principal Nezu as a member of the lead science community came as well. This person being from Island, as he was in Japan hoping to get a look at the symbiotes, but not expecting for 4 symbiotes to be spawned from 2 of the more powerful ones. Upon arriving, of course, the scientists just ran up to the containers and wanted to examine them, seeing that a semi-liquid just sloshing around in each container. He asked for one of them. Of course, this wouldn't be too out of the question since the symbiotes needed to be examined, even more so when considering that they need to know anything that could be helpful, not just in the terms of facing the villains, but in terms of advancing the other sciences that have been neglected for so long. Of course, a predetermined deal was struck for when they were able to get another symbiote, that the symbiote in question would be treated humanely and properly as a sentient being. As they looked at the symbiote in their possessions, Toga offered one of the ones that her anti-toxin spawned. Taking a breath in, stating that she has a demand in order to pick the one who will receive it. This scientist dude had no objections, but was curious about who she had in mind. Depending on who it was, he would have to be forced to reject it. Toga looked serious and stated, "It's someone from Island. Melissa Shield." Surprised by that, he knew that Melissa was extremely bright, young, and quite healthy. More than that, she was quirkless. As he got an idea, wondering the effects on somebody without a quirk would result from them getting a symbiote, not knowing that Izuku was born quirkless. So yeah, he made some calls to Island, as the symbiote stuck with Izuku, as Toga still had to go to class since C wasn't suspended. On the third day, Melissa was able to come, along with a number of other scientists, since it would be required to do the purge on the symbiote once it was given to Melissa and then attached to a number of individuals. This was their plan in order to make sure that no negative effects were resulting in any problems. Upon Melissa getting there, she ran over to Toga and hugged her. As she pulled away, looking at Toga seriously. "Are you sure about this?" Toga smiled, shaking her head, stating, "Yes, I'm sure," leading them inside. As it happens, a few of the teachers were there as well, being Nezu, Midnight, Ectoplasm, and Mr. Aizawa. Toga picked one of the ones that she spawned. She thought long and hard about a name for it. Its coloring was black and blue. As she looked at Melissa, she smirked, handing the container over to her, telling her the name of the symbiote is Cure. Looking down at it, she gulps. Opening it, it lunges at her, bonding. In the mental landscape, the symbiote looks at Melissa, asking, "So, you wish to bond with me? You understand what that means?" "Yes. I know I will have to eat much more than usual due to the effect of an enhanced metabolism." "Yes, but it will also mean there is no you and there is no me. There is only we." As she looked at Cure, she stated, "I understand." Smiling with a toothy grin, Cure stated, "Then it is done," revealing Melissa just covered in the symbiote in a full suit. As it retracted back into her body, she asked, "What now?" Nezu walked up, stating, "Now I believe you should bond to the teachers here." Melissa asking, "Why?" With Principal Nezu stating, "Well, to be frank, since your symbiote will be on Island, it will be a risk to have it outside of the protection of UA and all the other symbiotes that could help. It would be best if you had the genetic memories from our quirks in the symbiote." As the scientists were taking out notebooks and cameras, wanting to record everything and how it all worked out. As she looked around, she noticed something. None of them really have a combat quirk. As Nezu stated, "Exactly. That's the point. We want you to be able to get away rather than fight. You don't have any experience in fighting or training in combat of any sort. So, this is the most logical choice. You look down at Nezu, stating, "Alright." As Nezu takes a breath in, extending his hand. "I'm ready. I'm used to it now, though it still feels quite odd, to be fair." As the symbiote was passed to Nezu, then ectoplasm. As Midnight released payback from her in order to have Cure pass through her temporarily. Venom doing the same as Cure was passed to him. Then back to Melissa. Izuku performed a purge to get any negative side effects and memories that could mess with her head. As the quirks were now in the symbiote. He didn't want to test them out right now, but was thrilled and anticipation for what she'll be able to do. As Nezu states, "Good. Now, we arranged for all of these scientists to be here because your symbiote will bond to them to boost its intelligence. With my quirk high specs, that will help tremendously. It will increase its knowledge and intelligence drastically at a rapid pace, and we'll do the purge again in order to make sure there are no negative side effects. With this, does it help the research into what the symbiotes could potentially be, to what they could lead to in the future?" Melissa, nervous, along with Cure, begin the process, as each of the scientists there take turns swapping cameras and notepads so that they don't have to stop recording and take notes. After they bond and then separate from Cure, they then take their notepads back and take their own note of the experience, all remarking that they felt a sudden rush of power. Many of the individuals more or less have some minor quirks, some of which are good for more delicate work, electrical work, and etc. Essentially, quirks that could be useful for furthering research with their capabilities. Upon the final researcher being done, Cure bonded back to Melissa, and Izuku did the purge yet again. Asking if she was okay, her and Cure remarked, "Yeah, I feel powerful. I feel so light, too," with Toga laughing, stating, "Yeah, you do feel pretty light on your feet once you're bonded. That's always really the case. Your agility, your strength, and all physical aspects are drastically boosted. Not only that, but if you get injured, your symbiote will help heal you. It comes in handy more often than I can even count." With Melissa running up to Toga, hugging her, thanking her for giving her a chance. He hugs back, stating, "Of course, I thought you deserved a bit more than what you were given," remarking about how the best people that are out there seem to be quirkless. They know the value of power, and they can end up using it more responsibly than normal. With that, they leave, as two other people walk in, with Nezu stating, "Oh, thank you for coming." This being Nejire and Tamaki, the two other members of the Big Three. As Toga and Toga and Izuku look at each other, they look at Nezu asking, wait, you're suggesting them? As Principal Nezu states, yes, I believe they're the best choice. And they will put them to fine use as new partners. As they think about which ones to hand them, there were 3 containers left. One container contained a blue and white symbiote, the other a red and black, and lastly a symbiote that was white and red. Helga took the last one that was from her. As he brought it over to Nejire, handing it over to her, and told her that this one's name is Poison. Nejire looked at it with awe as Izuku picked the red and black one, giving it to Tamaki, telling him this one's name is Vaccine. Please take care of him. With Tamaki very nervous and twitchy about this, wondering if this was a good idea. Nejire, without hesitation, opens it as it bonds directly to her. As she feels so strong, confident. As Tamaki nervously states, oh, I can't believe I'm doing this, opening it as it bonds to him. As it bonds, it looks at Tamaki in the mindscape, stating, you should calm yourself. We'll be partners from now on. Calming down the best he could, he states, okay, vaccine, right? Yes. As they're back, noticing the symbiotes around them, as they go back into their bodies, with Tamaki stating, I feel a lot more energetic and a little hungry. With Izuku mentioning, oh yeah, that, you'll be needing to eat a good bit more than usual. Also, you'll need to eat chocolate bars every now and then. But that's just part of the heightened metabolism. You're technically 2 in 1 now. With Nejire stating, oh, so I can eat all the chocolate I want without worrying about negative side effects? As Toga states, yeah, pretty much, I guess. The symbiotes will eat all the unnecessary nutrients that your body doesn't use. So, it keeps you in great shape. With Nejire just having sparkles in her eyes after hearing that, stating, that's so cool! As he grabs Tamaki, stating, come on, let's go, so Mirio. As he freaks out, saying, wait, what? Nejire, wait! As they just get dragged by Nejire. That was the last one. Picking it up, he looked at the white and red symbiote and thought for a moment. Thought about who... He didn't think about who would be good for the symbiote, but who the symbiote would be good for. They have plenty of strong members among the symbiote users they have at UA now. But he now has someone in the back of his head who feels like they could use someone to lean on, or talk to at least. Izuku doesn't understand everything, but if someone can, maybe it can help him. As he sighs, looking back at the teacher, stating, I know who to give this one to. Bowing as he walks off. Heading towards the dorm, he knocks on the door. As he is allowed in, he looks at Todoroki, stating, Todoroki, you've only recently started to use your fire half. As he looks at him, stating, yeah. And you barely passed the licensing exam, right? Be- well, because of some recklessness in some parts. As he states, yeah? Why? As he just sighs, remarking, you've grown a lot, but you still have some issues to work out. But I think what you really need is someone who will be able to look in you and actually help. Upon looking a little bit down, he sees the symbiote in the capsule. He looks at Izuku, stating, Doria, are you serious? As he smirks, stating, yeah, but only if you accept it. This is partially because I think you could use somebody to actually talk to and that will actually understand you. Like, literally understand you inside and out. And plus, we already have a bunch of symbiote users with the villains, especially that Dobby guy. Be good to have more symbiotes that were fireproof. As Todoroki looks at the container, he takes it, asking, what exactly is its name? Izuku smirked, as he was actually kind of glad about this name, anti-toxin. With Todoroki looking at him saying, really? Did you spawn this, or did Toga and Toxin spawn it? With him laughing, stating, it was me. I just thought it was accurate. I was able to see what it had a strong capability for. It has a strong healing ability like anti-venom, but it also has a powerful detoxifying ability as well. So poisoning won't really happen to you in any form. In fact, I'd be surprised if any drug would be of any use against you once you bond. After swallowing a little bit, he looked at the container, stating, okay. Izuku left to give him some room so he can think about this. After some time, he just sighed, remarking, okay, let's do this. Opening the capsule and having anti-toxin bond to him. In the mental landscape, he met him directly. As anti-toxin looked at him, stating, you are quite a troubled one, but powerful as well. Do you accept me? As Todoroki looks at him, stating, I do. With a toothy grin, anti-toxin states, alright, I suppose that's good enough. As the bonding is complete. Opening his eyes, he looks at himself. Apparently, it's somewhat of a mismatch. The main color on one side is red, and the main color on one side is white, with the white side having red trim and the red side having white trim. As he pulls back the mask of the symbiote with anti-toxin popping out, anti-toxin laughs, stating, I thought it might be somewhat poetic. What do you think? With Todoroki stating, can't we just absorb my costume and you make a variant of that? It'd be a lot less conspicuous. With anti-toxin stating, fine. I just wanted to have some fun with it. As that was going on, after that, everyone was back in class since Izuku and Bakugo were no longer under house arrest. Now, we move on to where they were giving information about the internship. And with all that, they were told that they'd have to find their own. Obviously, Toga and Izuku called Gran Torino. But it turned out he was recruited to help track down the League of Villains along with the police, so he can do it. And suggested Night Eye. He did wonders training that Mirio kid, who did put you two through the ringer with his overall skill. They couldn't deny that Mirio, skill-wise, was a good bit more superior. He trained to use a quirk that, in many cases, had a good bit of drawbacks, and made it into something that made him seem invincible. So they did really consider it. After that, they hung up and went go ask him. As Mirio wasn't gonna say no, and also leaned in thanking them for giving a symbiote to Nejire and Tamaki, as they remarked that it was no problem, and they were actually suggested by Principal Nezu, given the whole state of things, with him finding that actually makes a lot of sense. Huh. So, you guys wanted to ask me to introduce you to Sir for your internships, right? As they shook their heads yes, he smirked, stating, "Alright, but it will be up to him whether he accepts you or not. I can't really do anything about it." As they were accepting of this. As for the others, Bakugo was lucky enough to get into contact with Miriko. Yes, Miriko, the rabbit hero. He wanted to learn about how to be a hero that was fast-paced in their work, taking down the bad guys quickly and then heading off to the next scene to deal with it again, over and over. Miriko was that and more, though he would also learn how to be the most mobile he could be, since Miriko doesn't actually have a office at all. He just kind of runs around all over Japan taking down villains. So he'll get a good workout in, as well as ending up to try to find the best way to move around quickly. As for Todoroki, he ends up at his father's agency, seeing that he has his own stuff to deal with, and that involves going here, unfortunately. But he's also noticed that his dad somewhat changed a bit, even if it's somewhat light. Upon meeting his dad, Endeavor looked at him, asking his son to sit down and that they needed to talk. Sitting down in the couch in his office, Endeavor took the other side. Looking at Todoroki, he remarked, "I was told ahead of time that you gained a partner." This is what some people have been calling the symbiotes, since constantly saying symbiotes would get pretty old. So calling them their partners would be probably more accurate and more simple. As anti-toxin emerged from his shoulder, stating, "Yes, I am," with a toothy grin and aggressive eyes at Endeavor. He understood that Endeavor calmed himself down quite a lot after All Might retired. He also knew not to really give him much, considering Todoroki's past with him. As Endeavor sighs, he states, "Will you watch over my son if I'm not there?" With a toothy grin, anti-toxin stated, "Of course, I need my host well taken care of after all." "Do you have a problem with that?" With Endeavor stating no. "It means I won't have to worry about him as much with all that's been going on. But that doesn't mean I'll go light on either of you. Got it? You're here to train and learn. So that's what you're gonna do. So suit up." With anti-toxin remarking, "Shoto, your dad seems pretty serious about this." Remembering all the memories. As he follows up with, "Though he seems to be a different type of serious from in your memories." Todoroki stating, "Yeah, a bit, I guess." As he goes to suit up for work. As for Izuku and Toga, suited up, meeting Mirio at the office, they walk in with Mirio leading them into Sir Night-Eye's office to see him torturing one of his sidekicks, Bubble Girl. With Toga yelling, "What is this?" Covering Izuku's eyes with a tendril and pulling him and Mirio out the door to close it. Looking at Mirio, Toga yells out, "What exactly is Sir Night-Eye doing?" With Mirio stating, "Oh, no, it's okay. That I'm guessing Bubble Girl just didn't make him laugh, and now she's being punished for it." "That was for not being funny? Really?" As he just slaps her forehead, wondering what kind of person is he? With Izuku wondering, should we go back in? The laughing stopped. As Mirio states, "Oh yeah, we should be good now." As they walk in, Night-Eye stated, "You were very loud, young lady." As Toga looks at him stating, "Oh, and I didn't really expect to walk into what we did in the hero agency of all places. What kind of people do you have connections with to even have that made?" Pointing at the tickled torture machine. With Sir Night-Eye stating, "I have a very reliable friend." Pushing his glasses up. Toga not even going to question it anymore. Some people are just weird. As they drop their symbiote masks, they introduce themselves properly and ask for an internship. Looking at them, he thinks for a moment, asking Mirio and Bubble Girl to leave. He leans back in his chair stating, "Okay, you both know about One for All, correct?" As they shook their heads, Toga knew he's just trying to make a point. And you know the severity what that means, correct? Looking at Izuku as he shook his head, stating, "Yes, sir." "You've done somewhat well, while also being quite reckless. I was told that during the earlier stages of your training, whenever you would get too emotional, or whenever you would get too excitable, you would end up slipping with the percentage going higher than you can handle, correct?" As he states, "Yeah, without anti-venom covering me, I can handle about 70%. With anti-venom cover me, it's 80. But I absorbed some support gear into anti-venom, and now I can use 100% smash. But after a couple of hits, the symbiote construct ends up breaking apart, and it could take a couple of seconds or so, uh, de- depending on the situation, to reform it. As Night Eye sighs, remarking, "Of course, such power behind those hits, of course, something meant to keep your arm together, would have trouble withstanding the strain. It isn't too out of the ordinary. But, from what I've heard, you've also been taking things quite seriously with what you gained from your symbiote as well." Looking at his chest, anti-venom pops out of his shoulder, remarking, "Yes, as as from what I can hear from your surface thoughts, you're you're remarking about the advances I've made due to One For All, like the venom shock, correct?" He shook his head, stating yes, with anti-venom stating, "Well, there is something else that I've recently learned we can do. It was during the time when I got bored and Izuku was sleeping. Extending an tendril out, it began to disappear, with Izuku stating, "Wait, when have we been able to do this?" Anti-Venom looking at him, stating, "Only recently. It's a form of camouflage, not quite invisibility," remarking about the slight uh, warpedness of the air of where his tendril is, with Toga remarking, "Whoa, that's pretty good." As Night states, "Good or not, you have to be careful. Now that the information about symbiotes is out there, you have some people aren't so kindly fond of them. Of course, as you may expect, this is individuals like heroes mostly who have strong quirks. They see it as a way for those of weaker standing quirks to either stand against them on equal footing in their ranks or surpass them. So they do feel quite threatened. And in the hero rankings, that it can get quite competitive. I'm sure you understand." As they remark, "Yes, we understand, sir." As he leans back, he takes their paper and stamps it, not testing them like in canon. Since Izuku did see Mirio, did give Mirio riot, which isn't One For All, but proving to be pretty pretty amazing out in the field. In fact, Mario's uh, proficiency dealing with villains, it's actually skyrocketed a lot more, even with his already incredible abilities that he had. With that, they are now assigned to go on patrol. Toga went out with Bubble Girl, while Izuku went out with Mirio. They were out patrolling as Mirio was giving advice, as they were talking about something that Sir Night Eye was told them about as a group, with everyone in its agency being there, remarking about the Hasaikai group and how they met with the League of Villains. Izuku mentioned while Mirio was talking, while he was taking a breath, that the League of Villains has a good number of symbiotes already. Don't even want to know, can't even imagine. It's just frustrating to think that after that mess that happened, destroying most of a district, it's hard to think about how bad it can get if other villain organizations team up with the League of Villains. Mirio looking at him, just smiling, stating, "It's fine. No matter what, we'll handle it, right?" Izuku chuckling a bit, stating, "Right." As a girl bumps into Izuku, he checks to see if the girl's okay since she fell. Seeing bandages all over her, Izuku can hear the serpent's thoughts so loudly. He's terrified, scared. He feels as though she has to get away. This is when Overhaul steps forward. Flooded with the influx of psychic messages from this little girl, he didn't even notice. Looking up when he hears a voice stating, "Sorry, but I would like to have my daughter back, if you don't mind." Looking up, he snaps back and feel it. This man, he has a symbiote, and he recognizes this man, Overhaul, leader of the Hasaikai. Seeing the terror of this girl, he knows something happened. He did something to her. Feeling a lot of anger as he can hear the voice inside Overhaul's head speaking to Lasher. He states, "They give us any trouble, then we can just use the current area to our advantage. I'm sure some hostages from all these people would be quite useful, Lasher." Lasher stating, "Yes, it would be most beneficial, especially to keep anti-venom at arm's length." After hearing this, Overhaul begins to take off his glove as the girl known as Eri went back to Overhaul, stating, "It's fine. I was looking for my dad. I'll be going now." Izuku wanted to go after, but Anti-Venom yelled at him, stating, "Stop! The moment you lunge at him, Lasher will use his quirk, destroying this place and everyone in the street. Remember what Sir Night-Eye told us about his quirk? He can break down and reconstruct things. If he does that here, there's no telling the amount of damage and death he will cause." Gripping his fist, he tells Anti-Venom, "I know. Don't worry, we aren't just going to leave her like that." But look. Looking at the bandages, he sees a white moving blob, so small that it's barely noticeable, as it just disappears, where no one could see it. As Mirio grabs Izuku's shoulder, stating, "We should get going. We're glad that you were able to find your daughter, sir." As Overhaul shook his head and walked away, Lasser stated, "I'm guessing they knew about your quirk, and that you have a symbiote. Otherwise, that wouldn't have gone so well." Overhaul telling Lasher, "Yeah, we need to really set up that meeting." After reporting this to Sir Night-Eye, he was worried. Not only that, he told them that they had no record of Overhaul having a daughter, which was very concerning. During this time, things like in canon with Fatgum's agency and Riku's energy agency go similar as in canon, as they're trying to work with their new symbiotes, being hosted by Nejire and Tamaki. This time, Tamaki didn't end up with his quirk cancelled out. being stopped by by vaccine, catching the cork erasing bullet. As this was good, Red Riot, aka Hiroshima, took down the villain who was using the cork enhancing drug like in canon, showing what he has to offer. As they continue from there, we see Shigaraki meeting with Overhaul, as Shigaraki and Carnage are given a rundown about what they're doing, aiming to create a bullet that erases quirks, as well as a bullet that restores quirks. Would make them a lot of money. As he tells them, imagine it. Villains who will buy our product to erase the hero's quirks, and heroes buying our products to regain their quirks. As Carnage tells Homura, this plan sounds like it would breed a lot of chaos and drive hero society right down to the ground if used correctly. Homura thinking, I still don't like this guy. It's Carnage stating, I know, I don't like him either. And there's another symbiote here too. But they're using a less refined method of hiding a signature. Can't tell which one it is, but I know he has another symbiote in this place. After the meeting, Homura stood up, stating, fine. I think we can work with this. I'll send twice and duplicate your way later. Just say where I should send them so that your men can bring them. With Overhaul shaking his head. After closing the door, Rappa asked Overhaul, the ones you asked for don't have symbiotes, right? Why didn't you ask for ones with symbiote? Overhaul looking at him stating, I don't trust him fully yet. And having to deal with two villains who don't have symbiotes would be more manageable than two that do. Even one may be troublesome. So, this is the best course of action, and the safest one for right now. As that is settled, the heroes meet up, same ones as in canon, as they meet with Sir Night Eye, discussing everything. As everyone took their seats, he began with explaining what they were going to do. One, they needed to find a girl. One that seems to be held captive by the leader of the Yasaikai group, Overhaul. Rocklock had to ask why. As Fatgum stood up, stating, because I was told this before this meeting, but we were hit with bullets. But they weren't normal bullets. After we examined the contents and seeing the results, these bullets could temporarily cancel quirks. Not only that, these bullets, they were capable, they were just made out of human cells. As Night Eye states, yes, they seem to be the cells of a young female from the DNA gathered from them. After hearing this, Zuko has trouble containing his anger. Toga looking at him worried. She heard about what happened from him, and it wasn't good. With Rocklock stating, okay, so we're going to find the girl and take down Overhaul. Is that all? With Sir Night Eye looking at him stating, it isn't that simple. Pointing at the screen behind him, he shows a meeting place that they were able to find where the Saikai group and the League of Villains met, so they might be involved. It has also been found out that Overhaul seems to have a symbiote of his own. Given his quirk, it is quite dangerous. Oh, has he just realized what that means? He leans back, stating, so, if we're not careful, we can get ourselves killed pretty easily. As Sir Night Eye pushes up his glasses, he states, yes, very much so. However, we have some advantages. For one, we have our own symbiote users. Looking around as the symbiotes began to emerge from people's shoulders, revealing themselves. Rocklock smirking, stating, alright, seems like we got some way to even out the playing field. Is there anything else? As he continues stating, it seems as though during the interaction with Overhaul and the girl, from Agent Anti-Venom and Lemillion, Agent Anti-Venom was able to splinter off a piece of his symbiote Anti-Venom as a means of tracking the girl. Since he can still track it now, looking at Izuku shook his head as he stood up, stating, yeah, I can still sense it. It's a part of Anti-Venom, so we can track it down right to her. After that, well, we can go in. As he states, not exactly. We need information first. Primarily, where is he being held? I severely doubt that they'll have her in the easiest place to access. So, once we locate the general area she's in, we will need to be able to know how to get to her the quickest way possible. As this was agreed upon, everyone was allowed out after that, with the students sitting down mulling over what needed to be done. Toga patting Izuku on the back, stating, it's okay, you made the right choice. You tried to take the girl, then overhauling this symbiote would have destroyed that city block filled with people. As he just sighs, leaning back, I know. With Sue remarking, yeah, you were kind of backed against the wall there. I'm sure if it was just one-on-one, you could probably take him with anti-venom, since it could cause some serious damage to the symbiote itself, but not when you're in a large area filled with a bunch of people. Makes it a lot more difficult. Everyone there unsettled as they remember it was the same kind of situation that Shigaraki used to escape from the heroes after he confronted Izuku at the mall before the training camp. Aizawa walked up to them, asking if they were okay. He remarked yes. Breathing in, he let out a sigh, stating, I know that we can't exactly let you stay out of this, Midoriya. However, the rest of you think can't handle it. Please, back out of the mission. This will be dangerous, and you have the offer to not be a part of it. As they looked at Aizawa, Uraka stated, "Are you crazy? Some little girl is being used to mass produce drugs that will destroy quirks out of her own body by a sadistic madman." With Kirishima standing up stating, "Yeah, I couldn't live with myself if I just stayed away from the fight and did nothing." As everyone else agreed. Toga smirking, she looked at Mr. Aizawa stating, "Well, it looks like you got your answer, Teach." With him sighing, stating, "Fine. Just make sure you don't die. I really don't want to have to deal with that." As Izuku tracked down the general location where Eri was, being unable to be sensed by the other symbiotes mean he had to go solo. He tracked it down to the main house of the Hasaikai group. After that, Sir Night-Eye tracked down some areas that members of this group were going to, using his quirk to figure out the route where they had to go to find Eri. Though he didn't see much else. He saw the secret entrance, how to get in, and where they're keeping Eri. Everything was being set up properly, and the police were making their preparations as well. And that is where we'll be ending this part of the What If on a cliffhanger. With that, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so that you'll be alerted for when the next video comes out. And I do hope you guys have enjoyed. See you later. Bye.